If my years of movie and TV experience has taught me nothing else, it's not to trust government agents in fancy suits. Hey movie fans, as you can tell by the title, I'm doing my first ever TV show review. Well, season, because hopefully this show gets renewed for multiple seasons, and technically it's not even a TV show, it is a Netflix show, which is a category in and of itself. What am I talking about today? Stranger Things, which seems to be taking social media by storm, and rightly so. I went into this not knowing what it was about whatsoever, and I kind of want to preserve that for you guys, so talking about the plot will be a bit difficult, but I was so jazzed up about this that I really want to talk to you guys about Stranger Things. So Stranger Things is essentially the best 80s movie that's come out in 2016. Yet this movie feels right at home with all the classic 80s adventure stories like The Goonies and E.T. a bit, but along with some other elements as well, like J.J. Abrams' Super 8, which in and of itself felt like those movies, with a tinge of 80s horror as well as some Monster Squad. Like, this is an amalgamation of a whole bunch of different things just thrown together. And I can't really talk about the story too much because it's so well done and relies on you being left in the dark for most of it. But what I can tell you is, in the first episode, a boy goes missing in this really small town, and basically his friends that are left, as well as his mom and the sheriff of the town, go looking for this boy, and stranger things happen. See what I did there? And what we have is a fantastic mystery, as well as a nice homage to the 80s. Like, as soon as you watch the first 5 minutes of this, it feels very 80s in terms of the cinematography, as well as they're clearly doing homage to this movie or that movie. But the opening titles alone is probably the coolest and gets stuck in my head the most easy of anything. Just all it is just the Stranger Things logo coming into focus and frame. But the way it's shot and the music in the background makes me feel like I'm watching an old 80s slasher movie, like one of the Halloween sequels or Friday the 13th, and it gives this really sense of eerie atmosphere, which, disclaimer, this isn't actually a horror show per se. There's some horror elements in it, but I'd say it's more of a suspense thriller / mystery than it is scary. So if you're going into this thinking it's going to be like an 80s horror homage, it's not. More so an action, but we'll get back to that in a second. What works in this movie is the characters. Now, a lot of them are the same cliched characters that we've seen time and time again. You got that brave, nerdy leader that's the social outcast of the group, but you still love him anyway. You got the lovable fat kid that's always thinking about snacks and is really funny, who, of course, ends up being the best character in the whole show. No spoilers here, but they're talking, some line of dialogue is thrown in around in the first or second episode, and they're like, well, maybe he escaped from the mental asylum down the street. Oh, what, do you have relatives down there? I died laughing when he said that. His delivery was spot on, which is a testament to the fact that the children actor in this whole show are phenomenal. And the best thing about it is they act like kids should. Normally, when you have child actors, they don't act or talk or just overall act like children. They act like movie versions of children. This one, I was like, alright, you talk like a kid, you act like a kid, but they don't act stupid. But at the same time, they're not so smart that they make everyone else around them dumb. They are the smart AV kids because, of course, it's an 80s story, so you need the nerds to be the ones that ultimately win the day. But they are limited in their knowledge, which I appreciate. They always went to another character for help or guidance when they were lost in a science question, which was nice. That sometimes with a child character, they're either so dumb and incompetent, or they are all-knowing, to which I'm just like, you're a kid, how can you know this? But the child actors were phenomenal, and the fat kid, as I said earlier, he's my favorite. Dustin, he was hysterical, but all the kids get this form of development and you really grow attached to them. And that's really the best thing about this is by the end of the season, you're really attached to the characters. So when certain things happen, you're like, yeah! And of course, there's other cliched characters like the school bully who has no redeeming factors whatsoever. So when, of course, he gets his comeuppance at some point, it's so gratifying. And there's another bully who's even more gratifying because I won't go into spoilers, but let's just say that guy gets even more of his comeuppance, and you're just like, yes, you've had that coming for a whole season. There's not just kids. There's the missing kid's mother, played by Winona Ryder. Yeah, she's still a thing. She's really good. She really grows on you. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of her because her kid goes missing, so she basically goes insane, and everyone else is telling her she's crazy. She really grows on you because I hated her at first because she just seems so weird and overacting, but you were like, okay, the more I watch you, the more I can understand why you're acting this way, because if I was a parent, I would be freaking out like you. Other than the fat kid Dustin, my favorite by far, in terms of characters, is the sheriff, played by basically, if Dane Cook was an actual actor and could be serious for more than 5 minutes and was, entertaining. The sheriff was fantastic. He goes through this whole interesting arc from where we first meet him, like his first appearance on screen, to where he ends up by the end of the season. He goes through this journey and basically steps into the role of hero, but the good thing about the show is there isn't one specific protagonist. There's multiple that you really rally behind and you care about because they're good characters. Now, I said that I couldn't really talk about this story too much, and that's a testament to this story as a whole. There's only 8 episodes, so just check out Stranger Things right now, and you can blow it out of the water in easily a day or two. It's really not that hard. But the story, it compacts enough in those 8 episodes that you're still asking questions, so hopefully we get more seasons, but you still get some resolution. But in those 8 episodes, they throw in so many curveballs and side trails to keep you interested. Not so much side trails that will distract you, but ones that will keep you involved. Or just when you start to think you're getting on top of it, they'll throw another curveball at you and you're like, okay, now what? Or there'll be times that you're legitimately sitting on the edge of your seat because you're worried about the characters or it's so incredibly tense. I said it wasn't a horror movie, but there's definitely some parts where you're just like... And I really credit that to the sound design, the sound for this. I watched it, for the most part, in headphones, and everything around me felt like it was around me. And it was great and terrifying all at the same time, but the sound design was really excellent for... There's a force, I'll go with that is basically what the town is dealing with, and the sound design for that force, that thing, is awesome. And just as a whole, the sound design people knew when to put in music, which in and of itself just sounds like 80s because they put in a whole bunch of synthesizers in the background, but they know when not to play music. My big gripe with a lot of scary movies, or even when they're trying to build suspense in movies, is if you really want to build suspense, you don't have music because then it's more off-putting and uncomfortable to just sit there in silence. Silence is uncomfortable. Look at The Strangers. The Strangers works as a horror movie because it's uncomfortably silent the whole time. I don't even think there's any music in there. It really works. And Stranger Things really works with its sound design incredibly well. So, good characters, great mystery. If you like mysteries like The Goonies, Super 8, any of those throwback-esque ones that'll keep you on your toes, you really, really need to check out Stranger Things. It's on Netflix. Hopefully we'll get more seasons, and if so, I'll definitely be reviewing those as well. And hopefully I'll end up doing more TV and Netflix show reviews. Overall, I will give Stranger Things a 8.5 out of 10. It was fantastic. There's some things that need to be improved upon for the later seasons, but overall not too much. I was really pleasantly surprised by Stranger Things. Well, what do you guys think? Have you seen it? Have you not? Are you interested in seeing it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen and want to see more, subscribe to the channel, or find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Uncharted Media. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals!